share, recipe share. Share a little recipe with Recipe Share. Recipe Share, Recipe Share. Share a little recipe with Recipe Share.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Recipe Share, a program on AADL TV where we take a few minutes to talk about recipes in a featured category. I'm Elizabeth, and as usual, I'm joined today by Katie and Beth, and today's category is chili cook-off. So, Beth, tell us about your chili recipe.
Okay, I made a chili beef stew with corn. Beans and corn is the name of the recipe. It came from the Spruce Eats. My husband had made it for a chili cook-off, and that he didn't win, and truth be told, I mean, his was, I think, better than mine. It wasn't super fantastic, but the difference of it was there was chuck stew beef, so I like having that kind of texture for beef. The typical stuff for me, onion. This called for green bell pepper. Never, but I did have yellow pepper, garlic, chili powder, diced tomatoes, and then green chili, mild green chilies, beef broth, couple cans of kidney beans, and I think I ended up using kidney beans and pinto beans. And then it does call for a can or 15 ounces of corn too. You cook the meat in a Dutch oven for a while. Like it ends up, I think, like an hour and a half to 2 hours. Then you add the beans and the corn, and I mean you add all the spices prior to that, but you cook it for quite a while. Also you add a little flour, which I don't typically add to chili, but it did thicken it up. So I didn't even take a picture because you know what, it looked like chili, but what was nice about it is the chunks and also the yellow peppers and yellow corn just added a nice little glint of color for a chili. So it's not super spicy. So we needed to add a little more to it. I think I kind of on purpose made it mild in case I was sharing it with someone else. But anyway, that was my chili stew in a way. What do you
Say
think?
again, what cut of meat you used, Beth?
It was chuck stew beef.
That's cool. That's really unique in a chili. I like that, especially with beans, because I've had like your Texas style chili that has more like stew beef in it, but doesn't usually have beans in it. So that's unique to me. I haven't heard of anything like that.
Okay, yeah. Actually, we were looking at the stew meat at the store, and it was cheaper just to buy the whole piece and cut it off. So that's what we ended up doing.
Good tip.
Yeah.
It sounds good. I know you said it wasn't earth shattering, but it sounds like a perfectly acceptable stew.
Totally. And when you add, if you like to add, and I do like to add, cheese or scallions or any of those things, that's always good for any chili. So I would make it again. All right. Well, Katie, what did you make for our chili cook-off?
All right. Well, the recipe that I made is for hot dog chili. And this is a recipe that I developed because as I was thinking about this category, I was just for some reason craving like a chili cheese dog, and it just kept coming up in my brain. I was like, but I don't want to make a chili cheese dog. I want to actually make a chili. So decided to sort of like combine all those flavors and see what I could do. And this is not totally unique. There are these recipes, a bunch of them on the internet, but this one is mine. So you take your Dutch oven and put some olive oil in there, and then cut up a package of hot dogs, like each hot dog in about 8 pieces. And then you just put those in your Dutch oven, stir them around until they're cooked through and like starting to brown on the outside. And then you just take those out and reserve them for later. And you make your chili base with your spices, chili powder, paprika, and then ground beef, onions, garlic, jalapeno pepper. Put all that into the Dutch oven and cook that until your ground beef is cooked through. And then you stir in undrained diced tomatoes, tomato sauce, chicken broth, Worcestershire sauce, bring all of that to a boil for like 25, 30 minutes. And then once that's all like nice and simmering, you stir in your reserved hot dogs, let those heat up for like a minute or two in your chili. And I do have a picture of what that looks like in the big old pot of hot dog chili. And then to serve, to make it, like a chili cheese dog, you top it with some cheddar cheese and some diced white onions. And it really like definitely hit the spot for that craving. And I won't make this probably often, but it's definitely something that like when I get that I want a hot dog sort of feeling, I will definitely whip this up again. It makes a bunch and you can freeze it. And I think it'd be good for little kids too, because little kids love hot dogs. So yeah.
It sounds delicious to me, and I feel like it would be perfect for a tailgate too, when you don't
Yeah.
want to like actually grill, but you want the hot dog vibe. I'm just like imagining bowls of that on a cold Saturday morning, and it just sounds delicious to me.
Yeah, a little less messy maybe, but
Mhm.
be in a bowl.
Yeah.
For little kids though, you do have to cut the hot dogs up small,
Okay, good to know. Mhm.
but yeah, that is I like that idea. I'm just imagining a bowl of it and like the cheesiness and sounds good.
And I
Yeah.
love that you invented it, Katie. That's cool.
Thanks. Genius idea. No, it was really tasty. You guys should definitely try it. All right, Elizabeth, tell us about your chili recipe, please.
All right. So I do have a kind of generic beef bean chili recipe, but I wanted to try something different this time. So I made crock pot chicken chili. And I like using my slow cooker, but I often forget about it. So this was a good opportunity to use it. And this was a super, super easy recipe. It came from Well Plated. And basically you just put 1 1/4 pounds of boneless, skinless chicken breasts into the crock pot. And that was like 2 or 3 breasts. And then you pour over the top 4 cups of chicken stock, a couple cans of white beans. I used cannellini beans, 2 cans of diced green chilies, 3 cloves of minced garlic, a small diced yellow onion, and then some cumin, oregano, cayenne pepper, salt. And you stir it all up and then leave it in the crock pot for 4 to 6 hours on high or 2 to 4 hours on low. Reverse that. And I did it on high and that worked out just fine. And then when the chicken is done, you take it out, put it on a plate, leave the Dutch or the crock pot on low to just keep things hot. And when the chicken's cool enough, shred it, put it back in along with some handfuls of fresh cilantro. And then they suggested to use an immersion blender if you have one to kind of thicken it a little bit, just a few like kind of pulses. I do have one, so I did that and that worked out nicely with the texture, but I don't think it was necessary. It would just, you could easily not do that, but I did and it was good. And then you serve it up. They suggest topping with lime wedges, sour cream, cheese, more cilantro, whatever you want. But they did note that the soup as is dairy free if you don't top it with those things. I don't know. Some people don't eat dairy, so that's something I wanted to mention. But I obviously definitely topped it with a bunch of sour cream and cheese, and I squeezed like half a lime over it, and it was delicious. Definitely one that I will continue to make. And it was just, I'm always amazed how easy the slow cooker is. You just like put everything in there and you leave. It's amazing. So it was good, simple, but one that I'm going to keep in my repertoire. So
Yeah, I make a green chili, white chicken chili. I've never made it in the crock pot. So
Yeah.
that's super easy. Sounds really yummy.
Yeah, same. I've made white chicken chili before, and shout out to Best Recipe is really good. But I've never made it in the crock pot before and super into that. And so I'm definitely going to make this recipe. That sounds amazing. It's been a while since I've made anything like that. So yeah, it sounds tasty. I could definitely eat that right now.
Yeah, I could make that possibly today if I didn't have another crock pot meal I was already doing.
Totally.
So
All right. Well, I will take us out by saying thank you for watching Recipe Share, and be sure to click the link below to look at the event page on aadl.org to find the recipes we talked about, and share your own in the comments if you would like. Join us next time when we will be talking about meatless mains. We're looking forward to what you've been making, to seeing what you've been making. So thanks for sharing.
Recipe share, recipe share, share a little recipe with Recipe Share.